It's been 2 weeks since the devastating wildfires first erupted in wine country, killing dozens of people and destroying thousands of homes. FEMA insists help is on the way, but we've learned it could be a long time before it actually gets here.
The last 50 days have been unprecedented. Right now, I think we're working disasters across 20 states.
Well, from the fires to the recent hurricanes, FEMA is literally drowning in disasters.
KPIX 5's Wilson Walker found out many communities in California and across the U.S. are still waiting for federal disaster funds they were promised years ago.
We just got done putting in brand new windows, Pella windows and crown molding.
Lake County's devastating Valley Fire in 2015, the South Napa earthquake in 2014, floods in Tennessee in 2010, all disasters that have one thing in common. The communities affected are still waiting on rebuilding funds promised by the federal government.
And I thought, a disaster area, federal government, president signs and money flows. No. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. I go, what? What do you mean?
Congressman John Garamendi represents Lake County. He says FEMA excels in the immediate wake of a disaster when the goal is to get money moving quickly.
And it does for the initial emergency. They'll send in the fire trucks from Idaho to help us here. Thankfully, that does happen.
But as time passes, FEMA checks tend to come more slowly. Communities that front rebuilding expenses on the promise of a 75% federal reimbursement often end up waiting years for those dollars, leaving critical holes in local budgets.
I first heard about this from a county supervisor in Calaveras County who said, we need your help. Same thing from Lake County. I wasn't aware that the federal government wasn't good for paying its debts. $4.1 billion owed to local government entities in the state of California now. Uncle Sam's not good for its IOUs. Some of this dates back 10, 15, even 20 years.
And this problem is simply the result of how FEMA spending is managed by Congress. It's called immediate needs funding, just another way of saying that long-term rebuilding projects are put on hold for immediate life-saving response efforts. And this happens all across the country. Hurricane Matthew caused devastating floods across the Carolinas last year, but just last month, FEMA temporarily froze those rebuilding payments because of hurricanes Harvey and Irma.
I don't really care about that road. I care that the people in Texas and Florida are taken care of.
While no one would disagree with those priorities, it does leave the agency lurching from one event to the next, and long-term rebuilding payments back up like highway traffic as the nation absorbs one disaster after another.
We have FEMA there, we have military there, we have first responders there.
And right now, FEMA is seemingly everywhere. Just this week, its chief administrator gave this accounting of the last 2 months.
The last 50 days have been unprecedented. Now, FEMA is providing or has registered in our individual assistance system almost 4 million Americans in the last 50 days. When you look at, I think if you combined Katrina, Sandy, Rita, and Wilma, those hurricanes, we've exceeded in the last 50 days all of those combined.
So Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino counties, they fall in line with disasters in Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico. And unless Congress provides more funding for America's skyrocketing disaster tab, communities across the country may be left to rebuild largely on their own.
But then when the fire's out, when the feds have gone home, when FEMA's no longer here, the county, the city, the state, the local water district, they're left to rebuild the infrastructure, to put back in place the foundation so the community can, once again, put itself together. But the feds don't pay the bills.
In Sonoma County, Wilson Walker, KPIX 5.
FEMA says the best way to apply for benefits is through its website, disasterassistance.gov. You can also call the number on your screen, 1-800-621-3362. So just how long can it take to receive that reconstruction funding? Well, the federal government completed its obligations for the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake last year.
Wow.